was my next question. Like, how do we fix this? Because I'm with you, Tara. It comes a level of disgust, so to speak.
Mhm.
It's like I'm just disgusted, you know, like it. You never want to be that way. Um, and I know when women get like that, they like, so that's a scary thing to go through. And it could be very well the same with men because I see what women are out here doing. You know what I'm saying? Like I see that as well. So what do you think? Um, would be so? Do you think there's a solution? Like, do you think how do we solve that? It's hard. That's like finding world peace.
I think the best thing that can possibly do is, I would say, locker room talk needs to go back to the locker room, and tea time with the girls need to go back to tea time with the girls. Not everything should be online, right? It's too much exposure. It's too much outside influence. We're not only just being influenced amongst what we do to each other, we are also being influenced by the opinions of others who don't live our life, who are not in our circumstances, and who are not dealing with our situations. Whether we want to admit it or not, we are subconsciously taking in other people's perspective and perception of what is going on in our community. So I think that if we can leave the conversations that needs to happen where they should be at, and present more of a, I wouldn't say a grace, but more of a respect level for each other on YouTube or on social media, then from there, I think that we can start to generate even more respect for each other's opinions and how we view things, right? Because I'm not expecting men to view things how I view through the lens of a woman, and I'm not, and vice versa. I'm not expecting that, right? But there should be a level of respect that we should have for each other. A sense of commodity, like, hey, listen, we're both going through something in this system, in this society, in this world. So there should be a level of respect. We tend to show it to strangers, but we can't show it to us. And one of the things that brings us together is the simple fact of our nationality. If the fact that we are from this country, if the fact that we are of this race, if the fact that we are melanated people, these are the things that do tend to bring us together. So if we wanted to act on that, then let that be the foundation for other respect to grow.
Yeah, I think the only way to start fixing these things is when the uncomfortable truths come up, not being overly offended. Because if you actually hear the truth of men and you hear the truth of women, it's very easy to hear these things and get easily offended. And it's easy to offend people because, like I was saying before, is like you don't tend to really get into people's lives like that. Even the people that you're close to, you might not even know them that well. There's so many people that commit suicide or they are going through things on a day-to-day basis. You talk to them all the time and you don't ever know what's really going on with these people. And when you actually start listening to the issues that people have and you actually genuinely care, then that's when you can start getting stuff done. It's just that I think we both, men and women, feel entitled to the things that we experience. And so when we hear the opposite experience from the opposite sex, it causes friction because it doesn't make sense to us. And then also, we receive information differently. Men are like, yo, like, here's a solution. I don't care how I feel about it. But women are like, well, I know this is a solution, but if you don't change the way that you feel about this, even though we have the solution, we might create the same problem. So our reasonings for tackling a problem, is also going to cause friction. So until we actually begin to just realize that, you know, there's some of this stuff that is deep, but most of it is not. It's very easy to start mending the damage in the relationships when both sides can feel like they're heard, that you can truly be able to speak and like just be recklessly honest. You can just say like, "Yo, I don't like you because you do this and you do this." But oftentimes when people say that, they internalize that information and miss the point of this person telling them how they feel. And I think if we listen more than we talk, I think we would get a lot more done, because it's easy to want to interrupt people when they're giving their thoughts out, because oh, that's not right. Oh, that's not all the way correct. And we sometimes, kill the bridge that actually makes people want to connect with you because of all of the small little communication errors that we experience in our conversations. So I think it's possible to fix it, but I think majority of people are going to fall by the wayside, and the people that actually do work well together are going to be the small example that gives hope for the people that want to change from the negative lifestyle.
Mhm.
Um, so I would have to agree with MJ. I think that there are certain conversations that don't need to be broadcast, right? It's okay to have your opinion on things, but like your mama say, we're going in the house, stay in the house. It's kind of like that situation, right? And I think that when you are having a conversation with people, it's a way to talk to people to get have a to have them receive it well. Okay. And especially when you're talking to an entire race, gender of people. You have to be careful about, and then when you're talking about negative, you have to be careful about not trying to include everybody in that. And sometimes in these spaces, it's like these, you don't say, okay, there's a subgroup of these women who act this way. You tend to say, oh, black women, but that's broad, like that's like black men. If I had a blanket and I said black men are in jail, you wouldn't perceive that, right? Because you're like, well, I'm not in jail, right? That's an unfair statement to say about me. But that's some of the stuff that is going on in these spaces, in it in both ways. I'm not just saying black men to women, but also women to men, and it becomes very toxic. It's very, I don't. It's just not a. I don't see it being a productive conversation. It almost feels like just a battle. Just you're just trying to hurt the other person, and at the end of the day, you're just hurting yourself. You're hurting yourself because if you have a black kid who is a girl and you're a man, you're hurting your daughter. If you have a black kid and and you have a son, you're hurting your son. Like, because at the end of the day, we're all black, and you think they care if you're a black man or a black woman? No, you just black. Okay. And if we're out here being moving the way that we're moving, as if we don't have any self control, respect for ourselves, why should they respect you?
Mhm.
Why should they respect your children? You don't even respect yourselves.